Hi there again. After learning about the implementation of GMP at the international level, we will now look at the implementations of GMP in Malaysia. In Malaysia, the implementation of the GMP can be divided into the non-food and the food industries. The non-food here are related to pharmaceutical products, veterinary premixes, registered traditional medicines and health products, and also the cosmetics. It's important to note that the GMP in these two areas are governed by different bodies. The regulation and compliance to GMP in non-food industries is incorporated into the Malaysian Act and Regulation, thus making it mandatory for the related industry to abide by it. The manufacturing and handling of these non-food or pharmaceutical products are under the governance of the 1984 Control of Drugs and Cosmetics Regulations. On the other hand, the GMP in the food industries is stated under the Malaysian standards, the MS 1514/2009, GMP for food. Unlike the Malaysian Act and Regulations, which is compulsory, the compliance to Malaysian standards are voluntary. We will first have a look at the GMP in the non-food industries, and later we will discuss on the GMP in the food industries. So, again, the non-food item in context with 1984 Control of Drugs and Cosmetics Regulations belongs to the category of medicines and pharmaceuticals, traditional medicines, veterinary medicinal premixes and cosmetics. These products are required to be registered and their manufacturing needs to be licensed in order to operate. The term manufacturing here refers to the activity of the making or assembling of the product, the packing and labeling of the product in any container, and any process being carried within the foregoing activities. In the Control of Drugs and Cosmetics Regulations, 1984, it is stated that manufacturers that wanted to apply for product registration, manufacturing license, or cosmetic notification must comply to GMP, as it is a prerequisite term. Thus, it is mandatory for manufacturers that is interested to register their products, or to manufacture the registered products, to comply to the GMP requirements. The Centre of Compliance and Licensing, or the CCL, under the governance of the National Pharmaceutical Control Bureau, is the body that is responsible for the inspection to GMP compliance of the manufacturers. Prior to the licensing process, the CCL will do a pre-licensing inspection at the site in order to evaluate the eligibility of the manufacturer to apply for the license. Meanwhile, new product registrations will be rejected if they are not able to comply with the GMP requirements. Similarly, the renewal of product registration also will not be allowed until the compliance to GMP is satisfactory. The implication of not adhering to GMP is serious, where a manufacturer's license may be revoked if they are discovered to not to comply to the GMP. This is stated under the Regulation 17(1) of the Control of Drugs and Cosmetics Regulations 1984. A manufacturer can attain the GMP status if they are able to fulfill the requirements in the guidelines of the specific products and satisfy the inspections that is being carried out. Now let's learn about the food GMP. Well, in Malaysia, the GMP related to food industries is laid out under the Malaysian Standards 1514/2009, Good Manufacturing Practice for Food. This guideline is dedicated to the food processing and food service premises. The MS 1514/2009 is under the governance of Section of Food Safety and Quality Division from the Ministry of Health. Similar to the objectives of other GMPs, the guidelines is to provide a high-quality standards products, mainly focusing on the domestic food industries. The GMP guidelines covers the whole process of manufacturing, starting from the receipt of the raw materials up to the delivery of the finished products to consumers. Well, unlike the non-food industries, the enrollment into the GMP program in food industries is voluntary, where the manufacturers may opt for the certification if they are interested. Food manufacturers which desires a form of recognition of high quality and standard often apply for the GMP certification. However, if a manufacturer wanted to apply for other food safety management systems, such as the HACCP or the ISO 2200, then the GMP program is a prerequisite for these quality systems. In terms of the GMP certification, manufacturers that are interested may forward their application to the available certification bodies. The GMP cert application is carried out by the authorized personnel in the company. This could be either the production manager, the QA or QC manager, or the managing directors. Once the application had been submitted, the manufacturing sites will be inspected by the audit team from the certification body elected. The audit team will inspect the compliances towards the GMP principles based on the guidelines in MS 1514/2009. Once the inspection carried out, the certification committee will decide whether to approve or to reject the cert application. The GMP certificate will be granted if the facility had demonstrated satisfactory GMP compliances. Certified companies may use the GMP logo from the Ministry of Health. This works as a form of recognition and may enhance customers' confidence on the product. The certification is valid for 3 years upon granting. The surveillance audit will be carried out throughout the validity period. Certificate renewal must be made after the validity ended and the facility will be reassessed. However, the certificate may be cancelled if the companies fail to comply to the GMP principles. Even though the adherence to the requirements is not easy, the GMP certification harbors a lot of advantages and benefits to the company. The GMP certification may help to simplify the process to obtain the export certificates such as the free sales certificate and many others. The GMP also forms the foundation of other food management systems such as the ISO and the HACCP. The GMP certification will provide a strong basis in competition in local or international market. Besides that, the GMP certification may also provide a sound justification for the financial agencies in providing financial assistance. The GMP logo granted to the products may also be a form of recognition for high-quality standards. If you notice, the GMP certification scheme is carried out by various certification bodies. These certification bodies, however, must be accredited by the accreditation bodies such as the Standards Malaysia. This accreditation is important, to acknowledge that the certification body is competent and reliable in operating the certification scheme. This accreditation is significant, as this will ensure that the certificates issued to the manufacturers can be accepted by the regulatory authorities. The Standards Malaysia had provided the MS-ISO, IEC 17021 as a guideline in assessing and accrediting the certification bodies. Alright then. In the next video, we will be looking into the principles and components of the GMP. Thank you.